Hey y'all, okay, so this video is going to be how to not look like a complete and utter noob when you first get to Korea. These are my Chelsea Speak approved tips and tricks so that you will not give yourself away and look like a super baby newborn when you first get here. However, if you're embarrassed because you've been here for 5 years and you still don't speak any Korean, by all means, use these tips in reverse so that you can look like a noob. So let's start with number 1. Learn to read Hangul. This is actually remarkably easy. It's the most scientific written language in the world. It was literally built by one of the former leaders of Korea, and he literally sat down and created a language that everybody could learn because he wanted all of Korea to be literate. So if all of Korea, including the peasants, can learn how to read Hangul, so can you. Mister, I have a 4-year degree. Literally sit down, dedicate a weekend to it before you get here. When I first got here, I couldn't really read, and it made my life so much more difficult, and it definitely gave me away as a noob. Like, I had to ask my friends to come with me just so that they could read the menus at restaurants, and it was just so embarrassing. Number 2, know your bangs. There are 3 bangs really that I would suggest you know what they mean, and these are basically, if you've been here long enough, then you just know what they are because they're so common or because you end up using them. The first one you need to know, PC bang. That means computer room. If you are curious and you want to go watch nerds play StarCraft all day, not that there's anything wrong with that, my boyfriend loves watching people online playing StarCraft. Seriously. You pay for how much time you spend there, and it's usually really cheap. They have snacks and stuff so you never have to leave. If you need to print out something, you don't have a printer, go to a PC bang. Second one is a norebang. Please know this word. It basically means a karaoke room. Koreans are so into karaoke. If you go out drinking, you go out partying, you're probably going to end up at one at the night where you will be singing an embarrassing version of Mariah Carey's, I don't know, something. And number 3 would be a jjimjilbang. This terminology you're probably going to hear a lot more in winter because it gets cold and everybody migrates and hibernates in the jjimjilbang. I've heard a lot of girls are afraid of them, especially when we first come here, because they've heard weird stories about ajumas wanting to rub your back for you. I've been to multiple jjimjilbangs. I've never had an ajuma try and touch me without me inviting her to, or in general, I've never really had an ajuma touch me. They have been helpful to me, oh, you need to go over here, do this, don't bring this into that room, those kinds of things. They're very sweet and helpful. But no, you're not going to get molested by a little old Korean lady if you go to the jjimjilbang, okay? You can purchase those services though, they'll give they get a sponge and they'll scrub all the dead skin off of your body, leaving you raw and lobsterish. But that's a paid service, so usually you're not going to get that for free. If you've ever seen Boys Over Flowers, I think there's an episode, I can't remember which one, where they actually do take the rich boy that Kim Jun-di is dating into a jjimjilbang with her brother and her father, and they scrub him Korean style. It's so funny. Now that I've been here for a while, I know what that means, and I think it's extra hilarious. So that's what a jjimjilbang is. And it's basically a co-ed sauna. Number 3. Know your materials and don't take yourself too seriously. I cannot stress this enough. A lot of people come here and they have great attitudes about Korea and they're really excited about Korea and they're super gung-ho about teaching, and that's wonderful. I can't emphasize how much I love that kind of attitude. However, a lot of teachers, especially when they're new and they get here, they get their panties all in a bunch when their class gets canceled because the homeroom teacher has to do prep work for a new test that's coming up. Yes, you are a teacher. Yes, you did get a 4-year degree. Yes, I respect you, and yes, they will respect you as well. My co-teacher is wonderful. She lets me lead the classes. I do almost all the teaching, and she just steps in for management or to explain directions and things like that. I'm really lucky. But you have to be flexible. Please don't expect your students. I know that they're Korean. I know they have a great reputation when it comes to studying, and they do study really hard. But don't expect your students to be masters of English by the time you get here. Try and understand where they're coming from. Sometimes, as a native speaker, we find it really difficult that students don't remember the things we taught them the day before, or we feel like they're moving very slowly. But you have to understand that English is not an easy language for them. So please, don't take yourself too seriously. Laugh with your students, play games with them. If you leave here having done nothing more than making them less afraid of speaking English, the little English that they did learn from you, then you've done a great job. Number 4, learn how to properly use chopsticks. You really don't want to be that embarrassing noob who gets here and has to order a fork because you can't eat your food. You'd think this would be a given because you're going to Asia. However, some people come here and they have no idea how to use a chopstick. So let's have a quick little demonstration. These are your typical takeout chopsticks. You can get these all over the world, so this should be pretty easy for you. Hold it in your hand. The farther back, the better. If you hold it up here, you're gonna have a bad time. Hold it back here. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. This is easy, right? You should be able to do this. These are pretty bulky, they're really big. Being able to pick up things with wood is actually fairly easy, maybe because it's porous or something. When I decided to come to Korea, I heard that Koreans use metal chopsticks. So I went out and I bought myself a pair. And I think you can actually find these. They're becoming more and more common around the world. If you go to like Whole Market or Whole Foods, any kind of international style store, you can probably find them. But I strongly suggest practicing with metal chopsticks. Why? Well, mostly because these suckers are slick. There is nothing that gives you away as being like a noob or just not into Korean culture than not knowing how to use metal chopsticks. This is like advanced level. And your co-teachers, your principal, everybody will be so impressed by your amazing abilities if you learn how to use these suckers. Number 5. This one's important, especially for the ladies. Are you listening? Know your soju limit. Know your soju limit. Know your soju limit. Drinking is a huge part of Korean culture, especially soju. Soju, makgeolli, and beer are the 3 big Korean drinks that I see. Soju is by far the most sneaky. I did this before I left the United States because I was never much of a big drinker. I went with a friend of mine, we bought some soju, and we drank it. We drank, I think, maybe a bottle and a half, 2 bottles, solely so that we could figure out what my limit was. It can be kind of dangerous, especially for a girl. Soju's sneaky. When you're walking around, like you're drinking soju, it tastes fine. It's really not that hard of a liquor in the taste department. It comes down pretty smooth, especially if it's cold. You're like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm on the floor. How did I get here? Oh my God, what's moving? Like, please, if you do nothing else, know your limit with soju because it can be really, really dangerous and it's a huge part of Korean life, so you're going to come into contact with it. Nothing gives you away as being a noob more than being that guy outside who's puking his guts out because he didn't know that you shouldn't have had 2 bottles worth of soju. So that's it. I hope this was useful to y'all and that when you get here you love it as much as I do. And yeah, I'll see y'all later.